David is chilling with the Philistines, and he got this one homeboy Philistine he cool with, and that decided to trust David and everything. And David did some things to make sure that the dude trusted him and all that stuff. So Philistines end up going against Israel. The dude like, I know you're gonna ride out with me, and David like, yeah, I'm gonna ride out. So they try to ride out, but these other Philistines that don't know David, he cut off. That's one of their arch nemesis. So they like, hey, he not coming with us to fight Israel. So the dude like, nah, he cool. I trust him. I know him. And so they like, I don't care. Send him back. And so the dude was like, hey, be cool. They said, you got to go back to the camp. So David went back to the camp. When David make it back to the camp, everything in Ziklag is burnt down. They've stolen all of their stuff and kidnapped their wives and children. Now, the Bible says that they were not harmed in that kidnapping and things like that. So they kidnapped the wife and the children. And so Abigail and his other wife, whose name I cannot pronounce, were kidnapped. And so David was like, God, should I go up against them? And God was like, yeah, go up against them and get everything back. And he was successful in doing it. At the same time, Saul, like, the Philistines coming up against me, I need to hear from the Lord. But the Bible says that the Lord did not give him a dream, didn't speak to him through a prophet, and nothing, right? And so he had already got through the mediums and things like that. In the Bible, they refer to it as having a familiar spirit. And so Saul, had got rid of all of them out of the land. It says the wizards and the people with familiar spirits. So I'm thinking like a medium. And so he decides to go against his own command and go seek out a medium. And the medium is pretending like, hey, you ain't finna set me up. And he's all disguised as someone else. And she like, you ain't finna set me up. The king said we can't be doing it. And so Saul is like, hey, look, you gonna be all right, I promise. And so she decides to do what mediums do. And she connected him with a man, and she said he's an elderly man, and he has a mantle on, and Saul knew that was Samuel. Now, from studying, I know that some scholars believe that it was not Samuel. It was a demon or somebody posing as Samuel. And some scholars actually believe that is Samuel some kind of way being able to come back and speak to Saul in this one spectacular way this one time. Because usually it is, a spirit that is a demon or something that's posing as one of our loved ones to the medium. So then Samuel tells Saul, like, basically, you're going to lose. You're going to lose everything you got, So that's that. And so Saul goes on about his way, and he does lose everything he had. David ends up getting his wives back, his children, and they go back home. They got all the spoils. They get their stuff back and the stuff that they had. And so they go back to the camp. And some of the people with David is telling him, because David took 400 men with him. It was 600 in all. 200 were too weak to cross the brook or something. They were too weak to cross the brook. I don't know if that was too weak mentally from having lost their wives and children, or like physical continence, but they were too weak to cross the brook. So 200 stayed back and kept the camp. Well, when they got back and they got all this stuff, the guys that's with David, like, they didn't do anything. They didn't go, so they ain't get nothing. So they was like, like Vivica Fox was on what's the name of that movie? Y'all know the movie. I Need That Money. I can't think of the movie. Y'all, my brain is running like 1,000 times a second right now. Well, that's not even a lot for a brain, but like 100 million, billion, thousand, trillion. And you'll notice that this video is a lot different from my other videos because of the mental state of my brain right now. That's why I'm going on and on and on and whatever. But anyway, so David So the guy's like, they ain't do nothing, so she ain't get nothing. You know, that's what Stoney told, not Stoney, I forgot Vivica Fox's name. And why am I drawing a blank about the name of that movie? Set It Off. So, you know, she told TT she ain't do nothing, she ain't get nothing. So the dudes that was with David that went back and got the wives and kids and got all the treasures and stuff like that back, and some of theirs was like, they didn't do nothing, so they not getting nothing. And so David, like, I don't agree with that. That's not right. That's not how we do things. They stayed back, they kept the camp, and they should be rewarded for that. And so David was a good man. He was. And so they got their